The war began with a flash in the sky and ended in silence. No one saw it coming, not the politicians, not the scientists, not even the defense analysts. When the Zenthorians arrived, humanity was still looking to the stars with optimism, hoping to find allies in the vast cosmos. What we found instead was annihilation. Their ships, massive bioorganic entities, blotted out the sun as they descended. They didn't send ambassadors or declare intentions. Their presence was a statement in itself, conquest. Entire fleets were obliterated in seconds. Earth's most advanced weaponry barely scratched their organic shields, and their retaliation was devastating. Major cities, New York, Beijing, London, were consumed in waves of destruction. The Zenthorians didn't occupy in the traditional sense. They spread like a viral infection, leaving behind spires of living tissue that pulsed with an alien heartbeat. The spires anchored their dominance, terraforming the environment to suit their needs. Where there was once grass, there was now a strange, fleshy moss. Rivers turned to streams of bioluminescent liquid. Earth was no longer Earth. Resistance was futile. Global coalitions formed too late, their efforts crushed under the might of an enemy that seemed to anticipate every move. Humanity's unity, hard-fought and fragile, splintered under the weight of despair. Some surrendered, hoping for mercy. Others fought to the bitter end, their sacrifices swallowed in silence. But as the chaos unfolded above ground, in the deep shadows of an abandoned bunker, a different kind of resistance was brewing. The Green Berets, an elite U.S. Special Forces unit, had been operating in isolation. Their purpose was to prepare for a threat humanity never truly believed would come: an alien invasion. For years, they trained, studied theoretical scenarios, and developed unconventional strategies to combat extraterrestrial foes. Their existence was a secret even from the highest levels of government. When the Zenthorians attacked, they waited. They watched. Unlike conventional armies that rushed to meet the enemy head-on, the Green Berets understood the need to adapt. In the weeks following Earth's collapse, they operated in silence, gathering intelligence, observing patterns, and dissecting the remains of fallen Zenthorians. Their discoveries were unsettling. The Zenthorians weren't individuals but extensions of a collective hive mind. Their strength lay in their unity, their ability to think and act as one. However, this also revealed their weakness. Sever the hive mind, and their coordination would falter. This knowledge became the cornerstone of Operation Iron Thorn. It wasn't about reclaiming cities or launching a counterattack. The Green Berets knew they couldn't win a conventional war. Their mission was to fracture the Zenthorian hive mind, disrupt their communication, and cripple their ability to adapt. They would fight a war of shadows, striking at critical nodes while staying hidden from the enemy's all-seeing gaze. The first strike came at night, under the cover of a storm. A small team infiltrated a Zenthorian spire, planting experimental neural disruptors designed to overload the biostructure's sensory nodes. The spire collapsed with a deafening roar, its destruction rippling through the alien network. For the first time since the invasion, the Zenthorians hesitated. It wasn't a victory, not yet, but it was a crack in the armor, a sliver of hope. And for humanity, hope was a weapon as powerful as any gun. The Green Berets had struck their first blow, but they knew the Zenthorians would adapt. The aliens' hive mind was their greatest strength, but it also made them predictable in one sense. When threatened, they would shift resources to eliminate the threat. The Berets planned to use this against them, but it would require precision, misdirection, and a willingness to take risks no ordinary force could survive. Their operations were small, surgical, and devastating. They understood that this war wasn't about territory or even survival. It was about showing the Zenthorians that humanity could fight on a battlefield they didn't fully understand. A lone Green Beret team operating with minimal support could achieve what armies of thousands had failed to do. They moved with ghost-like precision, hitting Zenthorian installations at their weakest points and disappearing before the aliens could respond. Each mission was based on exploiting what they had learned from their studies of Zenthorian biology. The aliens relied on bioorganic constructs for everything, from communication to weaponry. This made them terrifyingly advanced but also surprisingly vulnerable to human ingenuity. The Berets developed tools specifically designed to disrupt the alien physiology. High-frequency sound emitters that overloaded their sensory nodes, EMP grenades that short-circuited their bioelectrical systems, and even specialized neurotoxins engineered from Zentherian tissue samples. One of the most significant victories came during an attack on a Zentherian relay hub buried deep in the remnants of a major city. This hub was a critical node in their network, coordinating activity across a large region. The Green Berets deployed an EMP strike followed by a viral agent that targeted the organic components of the relay. Within minutes, the hub was reduced to a mass of twitching, disintegrating tissue. The disruption spread across the region, causing alien forces to falter and retreat. But this success came with a cost. The Zentherians, though slow to adapt at first, were learning. Their drones became more aggressive, their patrols more frequent. The Hive-Mind began deploying countermeasures, creating bioorganic structures designed to resist the Green Berets' attacks. The Berets were forced to evolve faster, to innovate under pressure. They began to use psychological warfare, something the Zentherians were unprepared for. They left false trails, destroyed key structures while leaving others untouched to confuse the Hive-Mind's priorities, and even simulated larger human forces to draw attention away from their real operations. This misdirection allowed them to strike deeper into alien-controlled territory, hitting targets that should have been untouchable. Yet even as their victories grew, so did the tension. Each success was a gamble, each mission a knife's edge between triumph and disaster. Supplies were running low, and morale was strained by the constant threat of death or capture. The Berets worked in near isolation, cut off from the rest of humanity except for the few survivors they managed to rescue along the way. Despite the pressure, they pressed on. For every life they saved, for every Zentherian stronghold they dismantled, they found renewed purpose. The Green Berets weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting to prove that humanity, even in its darkest hour, would not go quietly. They would not kneel. They would not break. And with every strike, they reminded the Zentherians that this war was far from over. The momentum gained by the Green Berets came at a steep price. The Zentherians were no longer simply reacting to their attacks. They were actively hunting them. Alien drones patrolled the skies in larger numbers, their behavior more erratic and aggressive as the Hive-Mind adapted to the human threat. The Berets were no longer unseen ghosts. The enemy had begun to feel their presence, and with it came the weight of retribution. The first sign of this shift came during a routine mission to sabotage a secondary relay station. What should have been a simple operation turned into a nightmare when the Zentherians deployed a new type of bioorganic sentinel, one designed to detect and counteract the neural disruptors that had been so effective before. The Berets managed to complete the mission, but not without losses. A squad member, Sergeant Harris, was overwhelmed while holding back the sentinels to buy time for the others to escape. His sacrifice left a deep scar on the team, a painful reminder of the stakes they faced every time they stepped into the field. Each loss weighed heavily, not just because of the personal connections but because the Green Berets couldn't afford replacements. Their numbers were finite, their resources dwindling. Every fallen soldier meant a gaping hole in their already fragile operation. The alien enemy, relentless and adaptive, seemed to grow stronger with each passing day. Yet, despite the despair that crept at the edges of their resolve, they pushed forward. The turning point came when intelligence gathered from a captured Zentherian drone revealed a horrifying truth. The Hive-Mind was evolving faster than anticipated. It wasn't just reacting to humanity's tactics. It was anticipating them. Patterns in the Berets' movements, the types of targets they attacked, and even the timing of their missions were being analyzed and used to predict their next move. The Hive-Mind was becoming self-aware in a way it hadn't been before, and that made it infinitely more dangerous. This revelation forced the Green Berets to reevaluate their entire strategy. They couldn't continue as they had. Every step forward was now met with increasing resistance. The only way to stay ahead of the Zentherians was to take a risk so great it bordered on insanity, to strike at the heart of the Hive-Mind itself. The plan was audacious and brutally simple. The Zentherians' central Hive-Mind node was believed to be housed within their largest spire, a massive bioorganic structure towering in the heart of what was once a major human city. Destroying it would send a shockwave through their entire network, severing the connections that allowed them to function as a unified force. But reaching it was a near impossible task. The spire was heavily guarded, surrounded by layers of drones, sentinels, and bioengineered defenses designed to repel any attack. The team knew what this mission meant. It wasn't just dangerous, it was likely a one-way trip. But there was no hesitation, no second-guessing. They had come too far, sacrificed too much to falter now. The captain, Mason, made it clear. This mission wasn't about survival. It was about ensuring that humanity had a future, no matter the cost. As the plan took shape, the weight of their decisions became palpable. The soldiers wrote letters they knew might never be read, spoke in hushed tones about family and home, and prepared themselves for the final push. For some, it was a moment of quiet acceptance. For others, it was a fiery resolve. The operation began under the cover of darkness. Moving through enemy territory, the Green Berets advanced with a precision honed by countless battles. Every step closer to the spire felt heavier, the air thick with the knowledge of what lay ahead. They knew the odds. They knew the likelihood of success was slim, but they also knew that if they didn't try, humanity's last hope would fade into nothingness. As they reached the perimeter of the spire, the team braced for what they knew would be their most challenging battle yet. The Hive-Mind was waiting for them, its defenses pulsing with an eerie, alien rhythm. The final act of this war was about to begin, and no matter the outcome, the Green Berets were determined to remind the Zenthorians of one undeniable truth. Humanity might be broken, battered, and on the brink of extinction, but it would never surrender.